Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and I have yet another piece of organ building history for you today. After our last videos that featured the Wicks historic films, several people contacted me, and a lot of people had some old material that they wanted to get online. Specifically, Ron Krebs, vice president of the Reuter Organ Company, was coming through town, and he brought me a copy of one of their old films. Now, this one had already been transferred to VHS, so getting it digitized was quick and easy. So I thought I would put it here for you. It's Labor Day week in the U.S., and we didn't go visit New Organs this week. We took a holiday. So I didn't want to leave you high and dry this weekend, so you have this. I don't know exactly what year it was made. Perhaps somebody will know who can leave a comment down in leave in the comments below and let me know what you know. If you see people you know, if you recognize some faces, again, we'd love to identify all of the people who were in this, all the Reuter employees. Now, this was shot in the old Reuter factory in Lawrence, Kansas. Reuter is still there, but they built a few years ago a modern purpose-built shop out on the edge of town. And I've heard this story enough times that I have to say the company that made this film for Reuter was based in Lawrence. They made industrial and educational films, but a few of their employees wanted to make horror films and wanted to make actual feature movies. And so a few of them put together on a shoestring budget a movie called Carnival of Souls. And if you want to watch it, it's on YouTube. I've got a link down in the description. It feels like an hour-long episode of The Twilight Zone. It's interesting. It didn't do well in the theaters in 1962, but when it made it to late-night TV, it suddenly took off and it has kind of a cult following. Now, the lead character in this movie is an organist, and she's actually seen in the Reuter factory. They don't mention it by name, but that's where they are. She's actually playing an organ or pretending to play an organ in the Reuter factory. So I hope after that, you want to see some more interesting shots of the Reuter factory, you can watch that movie. Again, thank you for watching. If you enjoy these little films, consider becoming a sponsor of the Organ Media Foundation. It's only with your help that we can put these things online. So now, from whatever year this was made, from the Reuter Organ Company, this is Making a Sound Decision.
I don't play the pipe organ, really. But like most people who go to church and school and have an interest in music, I've listened to pipe organs all my life. I knew when I liked the sound of one, but I never knew why. Now I think I do. I found that there are quality differences between organs that I could appreciate even without being an expert. I'd like to show you what I discovered about this one. The Reuter pipe organ. It may help you in making a sound decision. I'm a professional actor. I live in New York, but several times acting assignments have brought me to Lawrence, Kansas. There is a motion picture studio here, but that's only one of the surprises about this rolling, tree-shaded city, noted for its history and its traditions. Quantrill's raiders sacked and burned Lawrence during the Civil War, but the city revived and prospered. The New England Emigrant Aid Society helped populate the early city, and many of the old world's finest craftsmen settled here to practice their traditional arts. The traditional and the modern blend easily here, where the presence of an active and expanding university provides the constant stimulus of fresh viewpoints. The campus of the University of Kansas, in the heart of Lawrence, is one of the most attractive in the nation. For a century, the university has further enhanced the people's traditional interest in the fine arts. About 100 of these people are musicians, engineers, and craftsmen engaged in the making of Reuter pipe organs. I introduced you to their city to help acquaint you with these people because the real secret of a fine, hand-built musical instrument is in the pride and the skill of the men who make it. And for half a century, maintaining the excellent reputation of these custom-built pipe organs has been one of their proudest traditions. Each one of these pipe organs begins in the minds of decision makers, usually a committee appointed by members of a church or institution. Theirs is the responsibility for making a sound decision. Some members, especially the organist, may know a great deal about the instrument. Others may have less technical knowledge, but a fine appreciation of its qualities. Preferably, the Reuter designer begins here, learning their needs and designing a specific instrument to meet them. The search for good tonal design leads into many areas: the acoustical properties of the building, structural obstacles, echoes, reverberation period. All these must be considered, as well as such appearance features as wood finishes and console style. Good location with adequate space for organ pipes is essential. Sometimes the designer may have to recommend a smaller organ, speaking distinctly, instead of a larger organ cramped and muffled by inadequate space. The simplest way to solve such problems is to avoid them by having the architect and the organ designer consult early in the planning stages. In any case, in old buildings or new, the men in Reuter's engineering department can tailor the desired organ to the plans or to the existing structure. Each building is a separate design challenge. Each organ an individual project. The ingredients for the organ arrive at the Reuter factory in the form of raw materials, ingots of metal, unfinished boards of selected hardwoods. You can't prefabricate a fine instrument. The maker has to know his materials, because the quality of these woods and metals will be heard in the very tone of the instrument. Sheets of tin, alloyed with refined lead, are poured in exact thicknesses. Tin and lead are used half and half for some purposes. Other uses require 90% tin alloys. Zinc is used for larger pipes. Each of these boards is 1 in 100, selected aboard ship by a Reuter purchasing agent. Like the metals, all woods have their special uses. Luan for pipes and wind chests, basswood for keyboards, maple for pedal caps, walnut for pipe throats. Each piece clear, kiln-dried, and flawless. As specialists in the factory receive their copy of the specifications and assemble their raw materials, let's look at a nearly completed organ to see what they're working toward. This organ is, in effect, 5 organs in one. The various groupings of knobs, pedal, swell, grate, positive, and choir, control tone qualities for the several keyboards. The large pipes of deeper pitches belong to the pedal organ, played with the feet on the pedal keyboard. Certain groupings have shutters that open and close to gain variable dynamic control for these tones. Each organ consists of separate ranks of pipes, somewhat comparable to separate instruments in an orchestra. Each pipe in a rank, or stop, speaks one tone. Here's middle C. All pipes in this flute rank must speak as tones of one instrument. For comparison, This oboe rank also has a middle C, but the intonation of a different instrument. When you buy an organ, one of the things you're buying is the designer's ability to make sound decisions. You're buying the sound that he creates in each rank and his ability to balance and blend all ranks to give you the tonal plan you desire. Another thing you buy is mechanical dependability. An organist is master of the world's most complex instrument. It would take an hour to explain the functions here that every organist knows. Let me just say that any of these keys can be linked to several combinations of pipes. With tilting tablets or draw knobs, the organist selects which pipe ranks he will link to the keyboards. He can set these combinations and call upon them later. For example, he may draw one combination and register it with this piston. Set another, capture it on the second piston. In the first combination, this keyboard may sound only the oboe and flutes on the swell organ. On the second piston, the same keys may bring another combination of pipes into play. All the facilities for crescendos, tremolo, and coupling of manuals are here. The standards and measurements are those adopted by the American Guild of Organists. I'm going to oversimplify now, but I want to show you some things that happen between one key and a single pipe. When the key is pressed, it closes several electrical circuits. Through connective wires, each closed circuit activates an electromagnet on the wind chest of the organ. The magnet opens an air valve, releasing the air pressure under a diaphragm, or pneumatic. The pneumatic collapses, allowing air from the wind chest to pass through the air channel into the pipe, and the pipe speaks. When the key is released, the circuit opens, the magnet lets the air valve close, and a spring inside the pneumatic causes it to close off the air channel into the pipe. On a good organ, the action from key to pipes is instantaneous. The wind for the organ is supplied by a blower to the air reservoir. The reservoir makes sure that it is delivered at a steady, predetermined pressure to the wind chest. No one man can know and do everything. It takes many craftsmen and many separate skills to solve the mechanical problems so completely that the organist is left free to concentrate on his performance. In building an organ, the air reservoirs must be made foolproof. The slightest variation in air pressure would cause the pitch and quality of the tone of the pipes to vary. This reservoir, when it is finished, will provide a wind supply so steady that it will sound one pipe or a dozen pipes at once and never waver, never run down, never vary the pitch or quality. Action of the wind chest is simple and efficient, but only because it is constructed with painstaking attention to detail. It encases hundreds of small air channels. For double security, every channel is impregnated and sealed against moisture. Valve and pneumatic boards are removable. Pneumatics are handmade of the most durable lambskin. Even the circular pattern has a purpose. The material never creases, so no cracks or weak points develop. Casework is in the hands of master cabinet makers. Every edge is joined and fitted perfectly.
These men know that their handiwork will be the showpiece of the organ and be tested in every detail by knowledgeable organists. No one could be more particular about the case and working parts than they are. A typical finishing job on a Reuter console includes 6 coats of finish, fine sanded between coats. The foolproof Reuter key contact system has been praised by organists throughout the world. Combinations are easily and quietly accomplished. The contact wires are silver, the contact plates bronze. They touch with a rubbing action which makes them permanently self-cleaning. The bearings are of Teflon and never require lubrication. Another important action is that of the swell pedal, which operates the expression louvers. These louvers greatly increase the tonal flexibility of the organ. Until recently, heavy and often noisy shutter action was a problem common to the organ industry. But here, Reuter engineers introduced the use of modern materials that are ideal for the purpose. They created louvers of strong but lightweight aluminum filled with fiberglass. Louvers are finished to blend with any decor. And whether individually or collectively operated, they quickly and quietly respond to the demands of the organist. The tone of an organ can never be better than the quality of its pipes. For this reason, every pipe in every Reuter organ is hand-formed at the factory. Having had their pipe metal specially cast, these men know not only its quality, but also its tonal properties. This phase, too, requires experts and specialists. Pipe making is an art, entrusted only to men who excel at it after many years of working with metal and wood. All pipes that will be visible are hand-polished for a durable and attractive finish. Only the finest material is used in the wood pipes, supplemented by other hardwoods in the voicing blocks and end caps. Inner surfaces are given a careful sizing with a special glue to ensure full protection against climate extremes. Assurance of performance quality, now and 20, 30, 40 years from now. Craftsmen voice the pipes in ranks to assure uniform quality of sound. The tools used here are secondary to knowledge and experience. Shape of the inner piece, called the languid, the width of the mouth, and other vital factors are cut to specifications determined by the Reuter tonal director who is making the sound decisions for this particular installation. In a flue pipe, whether wood or metal, sound is created by directing the stream of wind across the upper edge of the lip. The nicking process is just one example of minute attention to detail. Nicks, used sparingly, are valuable in certain larger pipes to help focus the air on the upper lip and reduce undesirable non-musical noises. The smaller pipes, those above middle C, seldom require nicking for proper articulation. In a quality instrument, there is no substitute for the handwork of an expert. In reed pipes, the essential speaking part is a metal tongue. When wind pressure is directed against the tongue, it vibrates against a brass tube called the shallot. Securing a smooth tone by properly curving the tongue is arduous. Some makers shortcut this painstaking work by covering the shallots with leather. But discerning listeners will always prefer the clarity of metal-to-metal tone, and the voicing experts at Reuter adhere to this traditional ideal. Intensive, continuing research into the metal quality, thickness, and shape of these speaking parts has given Reuter organs a full range of reed pipes now unsurpassed in tone and dependability. It is here in the voicing rooms that the pipes meet their supreme test. Proper speech as determined by human hearing. Among other things, the voicer regulates each pipe for volume so that no loud or soft notes stand out as the series is sounded. Strengthening a prime tone or a harmonic, varying the tuning by a fraction of a semitone, he brings the pipes of each stop into equal temperament. Months of careful work culminate in the assembly room, where each Reuter organ, large or small, is completely assembled and tested as a unit. Before it leaves here, every note, every component must be up to total performance quality. If any problem escapes detection, it will probably show up in the first few weeks of use. Reuter goes far beyond that, protecting its customers with a 5-year guarantee. When it has passed all factory tests, the organ is disassembled and carefully packed to be loaded into special hauling equipment for delivery. There are always plenty of helpers. They're like proud fathers, each anxious for his child to make a good impression. Factory technicians and representatives make the actual installation. And now the committee reaps the full advantage of having made a sound decision. The final finishing, carried out under the direction of an experienced tonal expert. No Reuter instrument is considered as completed until it is, in effect, attuned to its environment. The company willingly assumes this responsibility, leaving nothing to chance. Listening, judging, balancing the strength of tone, the finisher works until all possible combinations of voices are pleasingly proportioned. When his work is completed, the instrument is at its best in its new home, and optimum quality is there in the organ's dynamic ability to build up a beautiful and even ensemble.
You may be aware that up to this point, you've not heard the Reuter pipe organ played in all its range and beauty. Unfortunately, that is not possible on electronic equipment. This organ pipe, for example, has a frequency of 32 vibrations per second, sounding C, 3 octaves below middle C. This little one sounds C 3 octaves above middle C and has a basic frequency of about 8,200 vibrations per second, with harmonics having frequencies exceeding 20,000 vibrations per second. The electronic sound system of this motion picture is incapable of reproducing anywhere near this range and quality of sound. The place to hear any Reuter pipe organ is in the location for which it was designed. And where is that? In hundreds of churches of almost every denomination, in every part of the nation, as well as in college music departments, in auditoriums and concert halls. Some are old, such as this one, installed in 1922, but still preferred by its owners. You may hear others that are 40 to 50 years old. But more will be new, and as contemporary as the buildings that house them. In this church in Clearwater, Florida, the Reuter is a freestanding instrument
located entirely within the sanctuary where its musical value can be fully realized. The openness of the interior design is carried through by having the organ's 30 ranks of pipes openly displayed. Casework will enclose the mechanical portion. The resources of this three-manual console enable the organist to perform organ works from all periods of composition. Where the architecture is colonial, as here in Indianapolis, a natural finish on the three-manual console and white casework on each side of the chancel blend harmoniously with the setting. In Dallas, another variation on colonial design also has a white interior, but entirely different visual and tonal needs. Here, the exposed pipes create a dramatic focal point above the rear choir loft. For the Georgian setting of a church in Oklahoma City that had been built for several years, Reuter designed an instrument to replace an organ that had proved inadequate. The three-manual Reuter features 67 ranks of pipes exposed in a striking display. In Toledo, Ohio, a somewhat older church complements its beamed interior with this distinctive exposed pipe arrangement. The console is an integral part of the pew arrangement in the choir loft. Horizontally installed trumpets are featured among the 50 ranks of pipes. Like the Swallows, the tourists come back to the famous mission at San Juan Capistrano. The building is Spanish. The pipe organ, Reuter. It's quite different from another famous church, Washington Cathedral, a landmark in the nation's capital. Here, where the chapel organ must perform for discerning listeners, the choice was a Reuter instrument. This church in Galveston was designed in an international style to combine many fine qualities of traditional architecture. It includes stone from Minnesota, marble and tile from Italy, sanctuary windows from France, and three-manual organ built and installed by Reuter. The instrument is designed to express both classical and romantic styles of music. Contemporary American describes the chapel at Wittenberg College in Springfield, Ohio, and the organ within. Each represents a blending of the best from the past and the present. The 57 ranks of pipes are located in 3 chambers behind the docile curtain over the altar. Few groups know the pros and cons of musical instruments better than those who teach at our colleges and universities. Like many of these institutions, the University of Michigan selected a Reuter for its new School of Music building, and for many important reasons. In a university, an organ must be a recital instrument, a teaching instrument. It must stand up under unlimited use and do full justice to organ works from all periods of composition. Custom design meets these needs in universities and in colleges, such as the Colorado Women's College in Denver. Here in Whatley Chapel, the organ stands freely within the building. Pipes are functionally displayed, and all 2,116 are speaking pipes. The three-manual console controls 40 ranks and 36 stops and includes provisions for later additions to the organ. Like all Reuter organs, it is specially designed and voiced to meet the acoustical properties of its permanent home.
On this assignment, I learned about pipe organs by asking and getting answers to some of the questions I thought might interest you. But if you want to be sure of making a sound decision, there is one voice you owe it to yourself to hear. You'll hear it wherever there is a modern, custom-built Reuter pipe organ. With its full, natural, live musical sound, it will speak for itself.